This is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
Arbinia. It's the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat with me, Kev Dillon, Lee Cadman, Aaron Dew and Craig Pinches. And yes, this is our 1 year anniversary. Thank you for sticking with us all year. From me being the only mutual friend in next door, talking over a telephone, discussing our victories and problems. And we're still here today. And we've gone from, as I say, strangers to brothers, to being downstairs by the boxing ring, having so many special, wonderful guests, which we'll name in a moment, to dealing with the lockdown, like so many of us have had to do, with bad internet and all these things, to having our very own studio. So thank you so much for being here. And if anyone would like to send in a message or a Arbinia, it'd be lovely to talk to everyone. Now, today is going to be something a bit different. We're going to be talking about our guests, and we're going to have a few clips coming on. So brilliant. Just so happy to be with you boys. And I think we've all grown as people. Considering it was just going to be a bit of counselling, we've helped so many. One of our brothers, Big Pat McCarthy, he was saying to me the other day, he was driving down the Wallers and he was listening to our suicide video, talking about we've got to make times for each other. And he said randomly he saw a young man in dire straits and he pulled over and the man said, I'm off to go and kill myself. And he pulled out a knife, so I'm going down the park. And he sat there and he talked to him, he found the man's dad. And by the grace of God, we've stopped another person doing it. So by talking and helping one another, we are doing something to battle this pandemic called suicide. So lads, anything you want to say before we go into everything?
I just want to say something for anyone watching us on Instagram. So we're going on Instagram live if anyone's on that. But you're just going to see 4 blokes in silence because we're actually showing clips here for anyone watching on Facebook and YouTube. But for anyone on Instagram, we're not ignoring you. It's just the first part of the show.
And if you do wonder what we're on about, you can go over for free and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
So back to the show. So throughout this year, we've had some wonderful guests. Do you want to shout out some, Nick, Lee, for me, please?
It's been a year and you still call it.
I know.
Do you want to go for the names just before we start?
Yeah, so you can remember. Yeah, so we've had Nick Davis, Andy Plant, Ashley Nixon, Andrew Price, Tough Enough to Care's Dan Browning and Stewart. We've had your dad, Bob Dylan. The list goes on. And we do have a few clips for some of these people as well. So where should we start, eh?
Let's start.
Andrew Price.
Andrew Price.
This is a bit of Andrew Price talking about, well, all the lads for me, talking about courage.
Escape from my problems, but the problems
wherever
I went,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
When you come back, they're there
they're
again.
still there. Yeah. But I'd sit there thinking, oh yeah, I'm all right now, but then I'd still hit the bottle, I'd still do this, I'd still do that. Because I wasn't getting away from the problem, because the problem was still with me. I was changing locations, but the problem would go wherever I went. It was in my suitcase. And I think as soon as you can go and see someone like Nick Davis or go and see someone and get to the bottom of the problems, they're learning how to switch that switch down. Why am I getting angry? It's because of this. Why am I drinking? It's because of this. Why am I doing drugs? It's because
you know all the right answers, but you can't put them into practice.
Yeah.
That's the anxiety.
That's the anxiety.
You know you shouldn't be doing something, but you can't
escape the cycle.
But then you get anxious about that.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not doing what you should be doing as well.
I suppose paranoia creeps in then as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the last
that
thing.
you think,
horrible.
and they see me having a breakdown. And then you're anxious about, you know what I mean, people's perceptions on, can they see me having this breakdown? When on the surface, you're probably all right. You're looking at him, you're just Andrew, or you're just Aaron, or you're just Kev. You know what I mean? Where deep down you think,
at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Precisely.
You know, we're not these big tough men that everyone thinks.
And even the massive Lennox Lewises of the world, Frank Bruno,
Tyson
Tyson Fury,
Nigel Benn.
and I think it's so wonderful now that these role models, these big tough guys, are going, I've been through that, and if, but by the grace of God, they must have had someone around them who loved them dearly, to give them the strength to allow them to talk to that person first, because no one ever just starts a podcast and goes, by the way, I'm anxious. That's bollocks.
Yeah.
And that was Andrew Price, 2-time national champion, 4 Nations gold medalist, and how brave it was of him coming from the travelling community and talking. And I think what he said there is, we're all human. So it doesn't matter how tough, big, fast you are, we all suffer these problems: anxiety, depression, loneliness, and mental health now, by the grace of God, is getting into the public light. So we have got these celebrities and these local celebrities like Andrew coming on and talking on behalf of us men. Anything, lads?
Was there a question then? Do we have a question?
It wasn't a question, sorry. Steve Hansel sent in a nice comment that I've just put up on screen. But seeing as Steve has just messaged, we'll go to a bit of Steve's show actually, and everyone's happy with that.
Yeah.
So Steve, so this is Steve coming on and talking about OCD, and hopefully give you a better understanding of it.
A lot of people completely misunderstand and misinterpret OCD. They think that OCD is just having to do a routine of, I don't know, say turning the light switch on and off 9 times, for example. Turning the light switch on and off is just the coping mechanism. The OCD is the bad thoughts that go with that, which a lot of people don't understand. While this is happening to someone with OCD, if you don't get this, in this case, a switch right, it's the end of the world. And when I say the end of the world, I'm not exaggerating. It will be, if this switch isn't in the correct place, it's going to set on fire. If it sets on fire, I'm going to lose my house. What am I going to do with the cats? Oh, what am I going to do about my mum? And then my mum dies. It escalates that quickly in your brain. It's unreal. And I think that's one of the common misconceptions with OCD.
Now, when Steve Hansel come on and explained OCD, he explained it more than anyone ever has to me. Saying, like, because we have these throwaway terms. I've got a migraine, you've got a headache. Or if I take these glasses off, I'm blind. No, you're visually impaired. And when they say, oh, I've got OCD because I clean up all the time. But when you talk to someone who's actually got OCD and how severe it really is, it's not just a throwaway term. Now, Steve Hansel's also been on talking about the loss of his brother. He lost his brother when he was 17 years old through a freak accident. So if you'd like to listen to Steve's episodes, remarkable, and the bravery comes on to talk about such personal issues takes real courage. So thank you, my brother.
Yeah, I think going, like, just touching up on the OCD thing, I think Nick Davis mentioned that as well, about, you know, how, like, he's come on to speak, he actually has OCD. People confuse personality traits with OCD. And like you say, because it's such a throwaway term, it hardly holds any weight. So when you hear someone like Steve talking about it, it really sends the point home. It reiterates that, hold on, this term isn't as, it shouldn't be used as callous as what people use it, basically.
I find that a lot with depression as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ever so depressed. You got the blues. Depression, as it's in many different things. Just because I have depression doesn't mean I'm always depressed. It's something you can learn to deal with, like anxiety. I suffer with anxiety and depression, but it doesn't mean I'm always anxious. I'm not always on hyper alert, but something as small as it is can trigger me off. How about you, Aaron?
Absolutely, I agree with all of that. It's a shame I actually never got to meet Steve. I think on all the episodes that you guys done, unfortunately, I didn't actually speak to
Basically,
him.
Steve's dodging you.
Yeah. Got feelings, are you, Steve?
Sorry, I promise I'll be at the next one. But yeah, that was an interesting one. Obviously, I listened back to it, and I had OCDs growing up, but I just used to think it was just like normal.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and obviously, I don't know whether it's linked to anxiety or anything like that, but it's strange that the things you do, like you said, Craig, they're just, you know, throwaway comment.
Yeah.
You've got an OCD. I used to do little things like, if I touch something with my right hand, that same thing, I need to then touch it with my left.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you're in like public and stuff, you've got to do it on the slide. So
Yeah.
I just be doing like the strangest actions, and I had some weird habits growing up. But yeah, it all kind of, I suppose, plays a part in your mental game. But I think the more exposure and the more people brave enough like Steve to come on the show and share what they may consider strange or odd, it actually isn't, because many of us are going through it. And then it just gives us all the courage to then open up and share our stories, because I don't think I would feel as comfortable speaking about my anxiety if you guys weren't brave enough to speak about, you know, your insecurities and your vulnerabilities.
And I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, even like the OCD thing, I've never ever thought I've got OCD, but I do things in sixes. So if I'm moving something, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And
that's
I'd
why I
have to
got you
finish
jumping
on
over the
6.
wires 6 times.
Yeah, that's, I had noticed.
But I think when it comes to severe OCD, which is what Steve has, if I don't do the lights for 6 times, my head will burn down. And I think when it gets to the very serious thing of it is, if I don't do this, my mum's going to die, or as Steve said so well in that, and then my head will burn down. What happened to my cats? And then what will? And that's when it's the darkest part of it. You know what I mean? And that's why I think, as you said, people talking about it, we can all feel we're not alone with these things.
So thank you for speaking about it, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think going from that as well, I did on the show notes here, which probably none of you read my show notes.
I read them.
You read them?
Yeah, I'm
What
proud
did
of
they
you
say?
because I
I
know.
forgot.
It's a very generic 1 or 2 sentences about the actual show, though, so it's always important, I think.
Well, yeah, I think I put on that one that we're looking back at our guests and seeing what we've learned from them, and I think that was that there explaining OCD is something I learned from.
Yeah.
But we've also had Nick Davis on. I'd like to just go to this clip now, and he explains Lima. Now we have to apologise slightly for this clip because we had our main guest Nick Davis on, and we only had him on. We only had half his shoulder on basically. But that was early days again. And as you can see, we've got better. Hopefully,
not better looking, but
so I'll go to this.
Just before you say that, I realised on every clip I'm wearing the same clothes. I do have more in my wardrobe, but yeah,
that's why we've all bought. That's why we've all bought these.
No, you have actually said you live minimal.
Yeah.
We understand it now.
Second ups. Is there a technique that you can get Craig to do now? Is there something I'll get these lads to? Because I've worked with you for years, and one of the days, if we don't do it live.
Sorry, we'll try that again. That didn't quite work out there. We'll have another go.
Second ups. Is there a technique that you can get Craig to do now? Is there something I'll get these lads to? Because I've worked with you for years, and one of the days, if we don't do it live, we'll put the video on there. Yeah. But if there's something you could do now, off the cuff with one of these lads, and just see if there's something you could do by hypnosis.
You're asking me to relax, I was like,
crack the bottle of rum. Is there something you could do off the cuff?
Yeah, there's a technique that I use. It's a nice technique. The first technique is the Lima. So use Lima all the time. You know, honestly, I use it myself. In fact, I'm going to teach you the Blast self-care tapping protocol. Thank you, Kevin. Right, I'm excited. This is the technique. It's not as good as having Blast. The Blast technique is the eye movement with the pen. Now, what we found is that whenever we're stressed, anxious, low mood, things like that, so I wouldn't use this for serious traumas. So if you're not feeling yourself and you need a bit of kind of, I don't know, a bit of balance and things like that, this is a perfect technique to use. So the first thing we do is think about something that gets you stressed. Could be a situation, a person, stress, anxiety, low mood. Nothing too bad, nothing like a trauma or grief or anything like that. We all got something. And then give it a number, how much it bothers you between 0 and 10. So, Aaron, if you had 8.
Yeah. I'm still trying to think
of something.
7.
7.
9.
9, good one.
Probably 9.
Yeah. So, first thing we do, symmetry in the body. Feet flat on the floor, hands on your lap. And then what I want you to do is I want you to identify where do you feel that in your body. So sit back. Where do you identify in your body that feeling?
I always feel everything in my stomach.
So Kev's there.
In my heart.
Heart, yeah.
Yeah, heart, throat, and
perfect.
Just behind the mouth.
Yeah. Head. Cool. Right, so the great thing is 4 people, 4 different locations. That makes sense. So yours is moving up there, yours is heart, yours is stomach, yours is head. All right? Wherever you feel it, that's what's important to you. So you've got your numbers, and we're going to start thinking about now. One of the reasons that we do with Blast, this is what we call the Blast tapping self-care protocol, is When we stimulate both hemispheres of the brain, we get this transference through the brain as well. So the biggest clusters of nerve endings in the brain are between here and here. Found this out from a biochemist. So what we're going to do, still thinking about that, take 2 fingers like this, and then tap above your eyebrows 10 times either side. That's it, nice and not too soft but not too hard. That's it. And then when you've done that, move down to your cheeks, still thinking about that thing. That's it, 10 times either side. And then when you've done that, down to either side of your chin. And then when you've done your chin, tapping on your collarbones, just crossing your arms over. And then we've tapped on the main nerve ending clusters from the brain then. And then when you finish that, put your hands on your lap. Now keep your head still, move your eyes left all the way, right all the way, left all the way, right all the way, left all the way, right, left, right, left, right. Take a nice deep breath in. And then say to yourself in your mind, I'm okay, and just breathe out. And then think about that thing and just tell me what number it is now.
4.
We say that
So what you do is you keep going through those passes again and again and again until and basically it's processing it in real time. I'm not saying it's a permanent solution for everything. Obviously, that's the blast tapping self-care protocol. And I can send you out that if you email me. If anyone's watching this and wants a copy of that, I'll give it out free, send it on an email to you with a video.
What's the best way of getting in touch with you?
Yeah, so if you email me on info@blast-technique.com and just put blast tapping self-care protocol, and I'll send that to you. I've got a really good...
It's not
Back.
just having a bit of a laugh off camera. But Nick Davis, I mean, that tapping technique has worked wonders for me over the years. And it's a great way of getting your anxiety levels down. Like when I did the full blast technique with Nick Davis, I was suffering PTSD. I was attacked by a staffy in my home. And I was having nightmares about the staffy attacking me, I was reliving it. And then I worked with Nick and it did me wonders. So if you ever want to get in touch with him, find him. He's remarkable what he does. Hypnotherapy, NLP, and that blast technique is second to none. But that particular tapping technique, like when I was petrified of needles for having viral meningitis and lumbar punctures and all my life, and then having to have venisections, which is a big needle where I have a pint of blood dripped off me through having hemochromatosis. And I'd be having panic attacks before I was going in there. And by doing the tapping, it brings your anxiety levels down and down and down. So I can't recommend it enough. So thanks so much, Nick, for coming on as many times as you did. Did you say we've had a message from Hansel? Who's brave enough to read it?
Go on, I'll read it. I'll put it on my phone so it's easy to see. Okay, question for the lads. What's your thoughts on the evolution of your show? First clip just in the club next to the ring, filmed on a phone, to now in a studio going live, etc., etc. How does that feel for you guys? Also, thanks for the kind words. Wouldn't be where I am without your support. Just listening to me made a world of difference. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm just proud of all of us for coming here, for how open we've become. And I've been so grateful to have so many different guests on and learn so much, because I think that is part of life, learning every day. But as I say, from 4 blokes sitting there with the fire alarm bleeping above us to going downstairs and conkers on the roof to having our guests on and not fitting them on the camera, you know what I mean, as we just see with Nick, to sitting here with all state-of-the-art mics and webcams and soundproofing. So I'm just so proud and happy. How about you guys, Lee?
I echo that, but the amazing thing to me now, from when we started, people are actually reaching out to us now and asking us to do things. We're on the radio on Saturday.
What station, Lee?
WCR FM with Sky, a sports show, just after 11. I'll put that up in a minute so everyone can find the station and listen to us. But to me, that those people that are actually reaching out now and want us on the show so we can help more people, you know, their platform is bigger than ours, so we can go on there and hopefully more people listen, more people get help, and the knock-on effects is bigger.
I think it's I don't know if you've released any stats on what you told us the other week. Now, like you say, as we got together and we just talking, and it was poor quality. We were all nervous. We were all strangers, you know. And to have grown into the podcast has actually reached Israel.
Yeah, we're now in the charts in Israel. So anyone who's watching in Israel, Abinia.
How anyone from Israel understands anyone from the Black Country is beyond
Most
me.
people from London don't understand us.
No, they're different. We won't use that. Like, I would have never have thought it had reached that far. And to think that you're helping people all those many miles away, you know, it had 800 downloads in a week.
Yeah.
We've got people listening to us in Thailand, in Holland, and Australia, Canada.
Top 10 in Australia as well.
Yeah.
See, I like that because it's not a numbers game for us. None of us are very hooked on social media and the numbers side of it. But for every 800 downloads, if you only affect 8 people of that, if that's your ratio, you know, your success ratio, I think that's just to help one person out of that. But to reach worldwide and to know that we're potentially helping to save lives or to make lives easier, better, you know, that's what makes me proud. And I enjoy the journey. You know, we're rough, we're raw. I did a lot of swear. I remember editing the one, and I effed every other word, and I was ashamed. Now I'm a swearer, but I was I listened back to it, I thought, did I really swear that much? You know, and we've learned to tone it down and not shy away from that raw edge, but to be able to become ourselves and put ourselves across as honest and raw as possible, but as polite as possible.
You know what surprised me? I was putting these clips on earlier so you could all revisit them. And I was looking at our first ever show, and I was trying to get a clip. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a clip of that. But I used to think Kev was so polished. Compared to me, he definitely was at that point. But the intro, Kev, it was... you weren't as polished as I remember. You know what I mean?
I only watched that one today, and once again, all our episodes are on YouTube, on the channel. So go back and listen to us, and hopefully we've got better.
We've got another question in if you want to go to that before another video clip. So it's from Pete Gavacole, and Pete is coming on in 2 weeks' time to talk about dementia. He's written a book on dementia. But his question for us is, hi guys, congrats on your birthday. Do you think that there is still a stigma on men opening up about their mental health?
I think there is. And even though it's becoming more talked about, I think like we're all in our 30s. But like for someone like my old man who's been on a few times, GB coach and well-known person, but I think people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they're aware that people are talking, but they're not in the habit. Their habit is going down the pub, sinking as much beer you can throw into yourself, and then maybe opening up a little bit. But they're never willing to fully open up in case, I don't know why, it's their generation. But I think on the first episode, when we talked about the reason why there's such a high drinking culture and drug culture in around here, people get off their head on drugs or they'll drink as much. And if they do say something, you go, oh, I was just off my head, I was just drunk. That's your way of wanting to talk, but having a back door just in case you're ridiculed. So to answer your question, I hope it is changing, but I think there's some generations that are going to find it more hard than others.
I think as well that, you know, we've especially with the suicide rate of men being at an all-time high and things like that. I came across a video and I actually sent it to you guys. I don't know if you checked it out. I think you did, Kev. And it was this guy saying why men should get in shape and get tanked and this and the other. And I think it's important to remember that as much as people like ourselves combating this stigma and whatever else, there's people out there still enforcing it. Oh, you need to get ripped to get girls. Oh, you need to be powerful, otherwise you look weak. You know, and this guy was going on, and it wound me up a little bit because I thought, you know, we're trying to fight the stigma attached to mental health. Now, a guy who's not, you know, predisposed. Yeah, yeah.
Having you as well.
I knew that was good. Yeah, to you know, genetically they're small or they're slim, because not everyone's got a really hench build. We'll say they might come across that guy's video and be thinking, oh, so I'm never going to get a girl. Oh, so I'm never going to get this. Also, I'm the prey and not the predator. Because he went on to say, you know, humans have eyes in the front because we're predators. Those who have to hide from predators, they have the eyes in the side of the head. Not mentioning crocodiles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that's why there's still a stigma.
It's such a flawed. That's such a flawed argument as well.
Maybe we need to get him on the show and re-educate.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to go on to saying, because that's a flawed argument. We're in different times.
Yeah.
You know, we're not hunter gatherers anymore.
Yeah.
The world has moved on so much, and obviously
you've been to Tesco's.
It's a bit of a fight. But we obviously have to adapt to the times, and at this minute we do still have this problem of male suicide. Well, suicide across all sexes, and I remember during lockdown there was these quotes going around by similar type of motivational, inspirational people saying, if you haven't come out of lockdown learning a new skill or developing something, you failed. And I'm thinking, for many of us, we're just trying to survive and come out of it. And I'm like, there's a problem here. And what I realized the problem was lack of education and exposure. So what I'm proud of us guys doing well is we're just trying to increase the exposure. We're not experts. We're figuring this out, just like every single one of you guys watching. What we're trying to do is make these conversations and almost normalize them, because you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know about depression until my mom had depression, and I was able to obviously learn from that. So by exposing more people, the people in Israel, the people in Australia, the 800 people that have downloaded it, I just hope that when they then watch a video like the one that you sent, they have a different perspective, and they say, well, actually, just because this person's got 800,000 views or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. So that's one thing that I'm just proud of as well. But in terms of the stigma stuff, it's something that, you know, we set this goal 12 months ago, and we should be very proud. And obviously, it's all thanks to everyone watching as well.
And there still is a stigma. I think there always will be to a degree. But I think if we can, like you say, normalize it so as it's not like, oh, that's a stigma that you need to shy away from, being embarrassed of. You can still have a stigma and not have it as severe.
And you can have mental illness and still have a very fulfilling life. Of course.
Yeah.
Like with anything, like me losing my eyes so young, I've got a wicked life. Or if you lose your legs in combat, doesn't mean your life's over. You're going to have to live maybe a different life.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to be a bad life.
Yeah.
Go on with the video, bruv.
Yeah, we can go on. Peter has sent another
Can
one.
I read that comment? Shall I read that comment?
Yeah, if you want to read that.
Yeah, Peter's just said, interesting points, thank you. Do you lack support and knowledge around COVID? Due to a lack of support, I think he means, and knowledge around COVID, it's exposed more issues. And of course, yes, Tesco is a jungle.
And there are other brands out there, just in case.
Funny if you mention that, because I think we had Dr. Singh on, who talked about what it was like on the ICU during COVID, and the thing that stood out for me more than probably anything, it was the way he could explain it and how calm he was with it. There was no hysteria around it. There was no, none of this. Everyone's falling down dead as the war. He wasn't like that. He was very calm and
very honest.
I'll play his clip. I think it is the best way to do it.
The thing that hit the intensive care consultants so hard was that all of a sudden, if you got admitted into intensive care, you had no family around you. The only contact that you'd have was on the end of a phone, and you'd have to ring the family member, find some time in the day. It'd probably be only once in the week you'd get a phone call as an update to what's happening to your loved one. And one consultant, she started crying, and this was a consultant of 15 years in intensive care. So, you know, a tough old nut, right, who's been making critical decisions for a majority of her life. And she broke down and started crying. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. She had just come out of the hot zone. The hot zone is where you've got to have the full equipment on, like you're dressed in as an astronaut, essentially. And you've just come out, you're drenched in sweat, and you're exhausted because you're carrying all that weight. And she broke down in tears, and I happened to be there. And I was like, oh, you know, are you okay? And she said that I just feel so mechanical and robotic. 80% of my care was being able to talk to the loved ones and engage them in the decision making, you know, really embrace them. And, you know, because I couldn't talk to the patient because they're comatose, I'd be talking to the family, the daughters and the parents, and let them know that this is what we're thinking. What do you think? And that was stripped away. And she said that I feel like a robot in there. 80% of my care is now suddenly being shred away. And I didn't realize that that's what made me a doctor. It wasn't the 20% of mechanical work that I was doing to save lives. And that really got in my psyche. I was mesmerized by what she said. I drove home and I couldn't stop thinking about what she had spoken. That's a real trooper. I don't think there's going to be very few people in life that get that moment of epiphany where they suddenly realize that shit, that's what made me. And she had that moment, albeit in the worst of circumstances.
Now, that was such a remarkable episode, and I think he humanised the NHS so well. That brave nurse who'd been there for 15 years, and and the brave nurse he was talking about. Sorry, but like your daughter has been on ICU, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's been on ICU a number of times. Well, PICU they call it for paediatrics, but yeah, it's the same kind of place. And doctors and nurses was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But I can't imagine not being by her side while she's there. And that's one of the things that played on my mind during Corona, that people are in these places and not having anyone by the side.
The poor patients, and as the nurse was telling Dr. Singh, saying without that interaction of like talking to the mother or the wife or the husband or the son, saying, how are you, how are you feeling? It just become, well, people like ourselves will never understand it, I don't think. But I think Dr. Singh, when it come on, I learned more about it through that interview than I did through all the nonsense I was reading and seeing on interviews, because you always felt like there's a hidden agenda. Yeah. But with him, I just found him such a cool, calm dude who just spoke so honestly. And he's saying like if you want to watch it, I recommend all our episodes, but Dr. Singh about coronavirus was just remarkable.
He was, like I said, when it all came about, like a good many, I was like, I don't believe anything anyone tells me. I don't believe this, that, and the other. I don't believe. I still, I respected that there was a threat out there, but I didn't appreciate the severity of it, or potentially the severity of it. And when he came on, I told him, they actually changed my perspective, and he opened my views, because I'm not scared to be wrong. I've got my opinion. Can it be changed? Often it can be, if you've got the right medium changing it, or at least providing the facts. And Dr. Singh was one of these guys, and he was very calming to listen to. Very calming, nice person to listen to. And we've never met, have we? That's the only time
I met him through boxing shows, and he's the doctor and does the medicals for the Lions Boxing Club. And one day before all this, I said, would you mind just coming on and talking about being a doctor? And then when this happened, the lockdown, I phoned up a lot of the doctors who do the medicals just to see how they were, make sure they were okay. And then a few weeks went into it, and I asked him if he'd come on, and he was happy to. And hopefully we'll get him back on the show, because as a human being, a remarkable man, so please stay safe, Doc. Any more videos?
Well, seeing as we've mentioned my daughter and my wife, I think maybe go into that now.
Once again, a remarkable video.
Kind of person to be able to go through that with a child, with anybody, but with a child, we tip our hat to you, because we think it's amazing how resilient you can actually be.
You've got to be. You're their voice at the end of the day, and everything that we do is for her, because she can't stand up for herself. We've got to be her voice. So we've got to do everything that we can to ensure that she lives the best life that she can do.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or... Sorry, gang, I don't know what happened then. I was just about... Well, I'll take me to a point. I was going to say, we upgraded the cabman on that episode. But Nikki, I think it was brilliant to come on, because you reminded me so much of my mum. When I had viral meningitis and I was in a coma and then completely blind, my mother didn't leave my side. So when I was listening to you, it reminded me very much of my own mum. And what you both have been through and what your kids are going through, it's remarkable. Once again, a tremendous woman and a brilliant family. I've known Lee for a long time, and I remember when it first come out, because your other kids had bronchiolitis.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
And
at a young age, they both had bronchiolitis and both ended up in hospital for probably a week, maybe less. And that's all we thought it was with Calla as well, and turned out to be a lot more.
it's a shame we couldn't get a soundbite for one of our second episode. It was two sides of the same coin, where I was talking about being the person with a disability and you having a child with a disability. So it was the two sides of the same coin.
I think it'd be good to revisit that actually at some point in the coming year.
Yeah.
Just go back and see what's changed really and where we're at now with that.
So once again, if you'd like to see it, very raw. There's no video, but once again, it's on the YouTube channel and on Spotify and all them things I have no idea about.
It's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere. Any more?
We've got loads of videos. I can keep going all day with these videos, Kev.
How long has everyone got?
What's that?
I was going to say, how long has everyone got?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we could go to Pat now if
Oh,
everyone
yeah,
wants to, because that's kind of ties in with that. But this clip, I pulled this clip off earlier and edited it, and it's unique to me because it kind of just shows that I don't think Pat was a natural at talking about his mental health.
No.
He came on the show and he really enjoyed sitting with us and talking about it. And he's asking us to come back on now, isn't he? I think he really enjoyed it. Something that he was really nervous about, really unsure of. He's now quite relaxed. And it shows you that actually talking about these kind of things, although it can be daunting, can really help you.
Yeah, we're not alone in whatever we're going through. Feel when you first had the news, I'll ask Pat first and I'll ask you then, because like he and a lot of people I've talked to said, I felt like almost God was smiting me. I felt like all the wrongs I'd done. And he goes, but it's not that, it's just one of them bollocks.
I won't lie. I did. You talk about your son, and I think when it sounds old fashioned because I'm a bit old fashioned, but when you're a father and you got a son, I've got two daughters as well, so I have a different relationship with them than I will with him. So I'll go to the boxing with him. Yeah. And luckily, he loves boxing, he loves football like I do. So we share things. But I got to admit, I did kind of think, like you said, why has this happened to me? I've always treated people with respect, whatever I've done. I've always wanted to be treated with respect myself. So I did sort of go through a period of thinking, what have I done to deserve this? You know. But then I thought, but he's better off than most kids.
Yeah.
And I think potentially when he comes out of his teenage years, he may settle right down and he'll be able to function and hopefully go into supported living or something and be able to live on his own with help from us from a distance and have a relationship and have a job. I did, but now I'm starting to think differently to that. So I'm starting to think differently to that now.
And how about you?
Mirrored that really, exactly the same. You blame yourself and you think, well, where have I gone wrong? What have I done? You know, could I have done anything different? And the truth is, we couldn't have done anything, absolutely anything. It wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference what we'd done and how we reacted.
Well, I think that was a lovely video of just two dads talking, and the sad thing about life is I couldn't have done no different. Even if you had vegetables every day and you'd done all this, sometimes life is just life. And I think what we have to do with life is deal with it in the best manner that we can do it and not beat ourselves up. So I find so many men and we go, is it God smiting me? Am I being punished for something I did? And sometimes life is just life. What we've got to do is make the best of what we've got.
Exactly right, Kev. Exactly right. You just got to make a positive out as much things as you can, haven't you?
You know,
moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of people say, just play the hand that you dealt. And people moan about it and cry about it. But Les Brown said, when something's going wrong in your life and you say, why me? Les Brown says, why not you? Who else do you suggest? Give us a list of names. And it's right. If you're going through it, it's happening to you for a reason. What the reason is, we don't know. Whether it's just a tragedy, whatever it is. But you have to deal with it, because whether you deal with it in was it also in like, I don't want to say a weak way, but in a negative way, you're still going to go through it, whether you deal with it in a negative or positive way. You've just got to try and pull yourself up out of the situation and pull yourself through it. And I know it's easier said than done, but what else do we do as human beings? We survive, we adapt, and we keep it moving that way. You know, as long as we love each other and we try and make it as peaceful and as easy for each other as possible, that's the only way we get through it, isn't it?
Sorry, Pete's been on again and just asked, I presume it's for that last video, can I ask Lee, listening to the video, did you internalise why this happened? Definitely, Pete. I did for a long time. And it come to the point where, I think I've spoke about this before on previous, but it come to the point where I'd let everything build up. And I had to go and get help from a psychiatrist, basically, go and speak. And it's quite funny because even at that point, I'm not the type of person to go to the doctors. And I went to the doctors about something really mundane, and they asked me a few questions, as they do, and I just broke down in the doctor's office. And they then took me to counselling, basically, through there. But what's really helped me is doing this. This has been, for me, it's been great, really. Because it's people on the same level. We get guests on who are on the same level, who've had similar experiences, and there'll be people who you probably never find someone who's had the same experience, because everyone handles things differently in different ways. But there'll always be similarities between everyone's experiences. So, yeah,
It's mad how, I mean, like sticking with that point, does time? People say time's a healer, but does time make anything any better? Like from the moment you found out and, you know, you knew that things weren't going to be the same, to now, to maybe 5 years' time, do you think that time's going to heal the situation, or do you think it's going to be a wound that never truly heals, or a thing that never truly heals within you?
I don't think I could explain it the same way as that now. It's not like you lose someone and then you mourn for them and you never really forget that person. We just adapt to the situation. Again, I think I spoke about this before, where your priorities change and your priorities for your children change. So we don't expect Calla to do what my other two do, and it doesn't make those achievements any less. If anything, it makes them more. You know, more in some cases. I don't think I explain myself very well. It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I think you adapt and you change, but you have to do that anyway. There's one thing it's taught me about having a child with disabilities, how much you have to keep adapting, because things will keep changing. You'll kind of think that you're at a good feel. Like now, we're at a good place at the moment, and everyone's well, everyone's getting along, everything just seems right. But tomorrow that'll change, so you have to adapt as quick as that. I say tomorrow it'll change. It could change within someone calling me.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just move on.
You just grow, no matter what direction you grow. It's like a tree, I suppose. The branches grow in all directions. Some break off, some weaken, some get stronger. But you've always got that core, that trunk that stays put in you, and that's the family.
I mean, it's again, it's kind of like today. I've had a bit of bad news today with regards to my wife, and you don't let it play on your mind as much as I used to. So she had a bit of bad news. She's got to have more tests. Whereas before I'd be fretting about that test coming up, that test, you know, it'd be really, and it get me to the point where I would be really down. Now I go, let's just wait for the results.
Yeah, send it out about Nick.
Let's not put that build it up to anything it's not. Yeah, that's it. Because ultimately we don't know. So you know, again, you adapt and you change and you learn from what you've done before. There's a lot of people commenting today. We've got quite a few.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Some of them I'm just going to bring up on screen because it's quite. They're not questions as such.
It's normally if they're saying something nice about me, people don't read it.
That's it. But should we try another video on that note?
There we go.
They're both saying something nice about Kev.
I've got to find one. That's going to be tricky. Actually, I'd like we had Niall Farrell on, and he explains nerves really well in this video. And for a GB boxer who's won a lot of things out there, Kev can explain more, to be honest, what he's won and why he isn't. But he still gets nervous. It doesn't matter what you've been through in life; some things will still make you nervous.
And I've got to give a big shout out to Second City Boxing Club, which is Dad Paddy, Abinya Paddy, runs, and brilliant club, and Niall Farrell. What a star he's going to be. So have a listen.
Are you one of them who suffers with terrible nerves?
I'll tell you straight. I am bad with my nerves. Not what happens is it's mad. Last time I boxed was a long time ago. Obviously, it was in Turkey, and I boxed the first fight before I went into the ring. I got sick everywhere just from nerves. I got sick everywhere. Just literally, as about to walk to the ring, I had to run to a bin and get sick. And then I got sick, and it was like I was better. Like once I'm in the ring, I'm saying it's the nerves before I find. But I have little things. I have ways to like deal with it. Like I listen to music. I have the crack with the lads. I have a dance. I can't dance, but I try and dance and stuff like that. And it just switches. I box more best when I'm relaxed. When I'm pent up and angry, it doesn't work for me. And everyone's different. But that's how I find, like, dealing with my nerves. I chill out before the fight. When I get to the venue, I get straight in my kit. I think it's just, I try and do the same routine, if you know what I mean. And then if I can't do that routine, then I don't panic. And then I just do what I can to just chill out and relax and just, but then when I'm getting ready to go in the ring, that's when I'm at my nervous. That's when I'm at really nervous. I'm thinking, okay, then you start asking yourself questions. I've trained hard for this. I've done what I needed to do. I've done the extra runs. I've done this, and that's what I do to deal with it. That's how I deal with the nerves.
Because that's what I want to get you on. This GB boxer who's won this, won that, and I want the kids in my gym and in your dad's gym and all the kids who are listening to this around the country, really, I'm not the only one who's feeling like this. So I think that's the killer. When you think, well, am I a coward because I'm frightened? Then you look around and everyone's feeling it, but they might be showing it differently. So I think more we can talk about getting these superstars and up-and-coming superstars to go, oh, no, mate, you ain't alone. I feel just like that, if not worse than you. But as soon as I get in there, I'm all right, because that's what I've trained for. That's the fun bit.
Yeah. Look, I've had 101 fights and I'm still nervous. So, like, all the lads around the country and all the lads watching this from your gym, my gym, you get nerves. Nerves are good. Don't look at them as a bad thing. I find when I'm nervous, if I wasn't nervous, I'd be thinking, why am I nervous? Do you know what I mean? So, I perform better when I'm nervous, because I think when I'm nervous, I'm thinking, all right, I'm nervous, I'm boxing today. But then, like you said, you train your heart out. Like, lads from my gym, and I know for a fact lads from your gym, we train as much as we can to be at the best of our ability. So when we get in there, that's the easy part. Fighting's the easy part, as mad as it sounds. Getting punched in the face is the easy part.
Well, Niall Farrell there describing nerves so brilliantly. And as he said, we need nerves. I mean, there's a difference between being nervous on getting into the ring where I might have physical harm and whatever, to having anxiety. Anxiety is a crippling thing. And I've always said nerves have always pushed me going forwards, inspired me to do things I never thought I would, but anxiety's often held me back. And I think it's so great that Niall Farrell, who I guarantee it will be a household name very soon, coming on talking about it, because how many times we'll say, oh God, I'm nervous, don't tell anyone. Nerves are natural. Some people hide it better. You'll see that peacock with his tail out, shouting and boasting. You see the people who are being sick, as Niall Farrell said. We all got that emotion, but we all just wear a different mask over it. So thank you so much, Niall, for coming on. We'd love to have you back on, bro. Did you say you've had some nice comments?
Yeah, we had some nice comments, but can I just note that Aaron's kindly pointed out it looked like I was running Windows 95 on that clip. I'll be honest, the owner was asleep on the train, and I had to get what I could get. Okay, so now we can go into the comments. I've excused myself.
Well, we had then.
Steve just made a comment that we should potentially release a montage of our funniest moments. And he's just stated that one thing we've all done is made people laugh and smile. And that's the most amazing thing in his perspective. And I think that's the most amazing thing with me as well. Because sometimes we sit here and we talk about the stuff that we need to talk about, that society needs us to hear. But at the same time, we'll always crack a joke and it lightens our mood.
Yeah.
And I've never left a show on a Tuesday not feeling better than when I started it. There's so many times I don't want to come if I'm just in a funk or I'm just not feeling it or I'm just being lazy. But every time I come, it's like the gym. Every time you do it, you always feel better. Always feel uplifted with you guys. You know, we spoke about some of the stuff that we've all been through in our life, and it changes my perspective straight away. Like, it's that bit of, yes, I can still feel my pain. I can still moan and stuff. But then when I hear about, Lee, the stuff you go through every day, it just completely changes me. In a better way, in a much better way. So we're always cracking jokes and stuff. You've missed actually quite a few because we've been playing these clips, but that's the main thing, and that's what I always want to try and do in this show. Is as much as we talk about the important stuff, is we're just normal guys. We're not four miserable blokes just sitting here, talking about morbid stuff. We love to smile. We know the benefits of smiling, and we do as a result of that.
And we do rip the piss out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mainly Kev,
but when we mainly started, we weren't going to put everything in the format, ask questions, because we like having, especially on some of the earlier ones, when we do just go on a tedious link and we just go off at a tangent and you think, well, where'd that conversation start?
yeah.
And to be fair, you say, we have a focal point where we say, right, that's the direction we plan on taking it. But we always stray off and, it always takes its own route, and that's the organic nature of this. And I think that's how we can laugh and we can smile and hopefully bring joy to it. Because if we were so rigid with what we were going to discuss, you can't break that cycle. If you're speaking about mental health, you're speaking about this and because some of it is not laughing matters. So if we were so rigid and scripted, I think that's what makes us is the organic direction of which we allow it to take.
And what Peter said as well in the comments as well, which made us all laugh during the last clip, was the text to speech when any of us are talking. So if you watch it on YouTube or when they try and transcribe it, it's an absolute mess. So that's always fun to watch as well.
What's the transcript for? I'll say Abinya or try a bit.
Just exclamation marks.
Jabber. It should be unaudible.
Some it says something completely different in Israel, and that's why we've got the massive following.
It's worth looking at in an Israeli dictionary.
If we have got any translators, I'd love to know. I'm not going to be done for hate crimes or up with set about somebody.
No.
I think on that note, anyway, we ought to go to the great Bob Dylan explaining why he's called Bob. And funny clip.
Well, Dad's had a few videos on here talking about what I've been through and being on GB, and he's me hero, Daddy's, and he taught me so much. And my friends always come around the house and saying, like, your dad's the toughest bloke we know, but he's so open with his emotions, and you could walk in one day and he's got you on the pad, next day he'd be having a cry to film, and that's where I learned so much. So love you loads, Dad.
Yeah, that's great. You're learning the skill. So anyway, he comes up to me and he says to me, I've been thinking about you. He said, do you like the name Bob? Well, I love the name Bob. I've got a collie dog called Bob. I love the name Bob. Why would I not like Bob? He says, I'm never so happy about that. We're going to call you Bob. And I went, what? He says, I'm never taking anybody in the ring again called Bernard. He says, your mum and dad must have hated you. I walked up, not a smile or anything. And from then on, I was Bob in boxing. And it spread like the flu. In the papers, I was Bob. So a lot of the times when I was in the papers winning amateur fights, them days you was always in papers. The Express and Star was everywhere. It was everywhere. It was like, and that's how it became. And then people, when I was boxing, called me Bob. And people who I worked with would call me Dill or Bernie. So I had 3 names. And then when I met the love of my life, Julie, and met her and whatever, what's your name? Bernie. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, Bob. Hello, Bob. What are you giving me a little there for? No, give me that shit. Oh,
Yeah, Dad. I mean, when he goes into his stuff, he's so hypnotic and he's got so much knowledge about boxing and life. And it's a shame we haven't got the clip when he's talking about anxiety. And he so rightly calls it the smoke.
Sack the editor.
And but he's saying like you can box the door in, you can box the window in, and you're safe. But that anxiety all seems to get a way of getting in, and that's like our demons. So once again, listen to Dad's episodes, remarkable, and I love you and Mom and Richie so much. Thank you. Any other comments? What did we have one on YouTube? Say.
Oh, it was just wishing us happy birthday.
All right, lovely.
Thank you to everyone that's commented as well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's been quite busy.
It's been fun.
And it's been fun, and that's what we like as well. We like other people's perspectives in. Going back to Bob, you know what? I remember seeing Bob for the first time at Pensnet School when he started the classes there. Yeah. I actually started there.
There's nothing wrong with Snet.
There was nothing wrong with Pensnet.
Nothing at all.
We learned what we needed to learn to survive in life. To survive life in Snet, anyway. But no, I remember seeing him from there, and you said that's when you were first starting out, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, and even though I come and dabbled here sometimes at the club, and then I didn't come here for how long, and then I came back as we were starting this podcast. And the thing with Bob is, I don't think he ever forgets a face.
No.
And he always treats you the same, whether you've seen him 2 weeks ago or 20 years ago. You know, he keeps his persona well, and he's got so much wisdom and love.
But he'll talk to Anthony Joshua the exact same.
Yeah.
He'll talk to you, and he's just a real person. I think that's why he's so loved.
And I did actually say, I shared something about him. He was on like the GB Olympics, and they shared something about him. And what I put on there is he's got, what was it, the right size boot of encouragement for any arse. Yeah. You know, because he has, it don't matter who you are, he knows how to bring the best out in you. You know, so much love to Bob. You know, he's a wise guy that we should all pay attention to.
One more. Have we got Fraser Clark? Fraser Clark should have been going to the Olympics in July, but obviously with the corona, he's been on GB for many, many years, and he come on talking about his life and about a terror attack that happened in London.
Now, when I think back of it now, it's upsetting, you know. Like I said, I seen a man lose his life that was just trying to do his job. I seen a man shot and get killed. It wasn't nice, you know what I mean. But I often think of the, you know, PC Keith Palmer. I often think of his family and stuff. You know, I feel for them, but it's just another life lesson. You know, after that, I was trapped inside Westminster for 8 hours. Lockdown, police running around with guns, not knowing what was in the building, if the building was going to go up or not. You learn a lot about yourself in that time.
And I'd like to just say a big shout out to Burton ABC, which Fraser boxed for. They're a great club. And what a remarkable story he's got. And once again, we'd love to get him back on, not knowing when those Olympic Games are going to come on. And that in itself, when you're an Olympic, training for something Olympics or a bout or a football match or cricket match, and when that goal gets taken away from you, how tough it is for these athletes to stay so mentally strong. Well, it's been a wonderful show. Unless there's anything else.
I do have more clips, but we could keep going all day, I think so.
But
check them out on YouTube.
This has been a little taster. Now, next week, we were joined by Cherry Gillings. Now, Cherry's been on before. She was an addict and she had her problems, but how she's turned her life around is remarkable. And now she's doing poetry, and some of her poems are absolutely so beautiful. So if we're lucky enough, she'll grace us with one next week. So from the bottom of my heart, gang, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Has anyone got a quote?
I've got a video to play just for this quote,
which
I think sums it up perfectly. So I'm going to play this video by Dr. Singh.
And you can be taught by the greatest masters in the world, but even then, the highest of all the highest, the best religion of all is love. And that's really what I'd like everybody to share.
So until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.